ever get totally fixated on something. Like you just have to perfect that sourdough bread recipe or nail that piano piece.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That laser focus, that's kind of the vibe of this one symbol trading system we're diving into today.
Makes sense. Zone in on one thing, master it.
Right. Now, full disclosure, this document is a bit of a beast,
I've seen it, yeah.
but that's why we're here to break it down. So first things first, this system kicks off with something called the capital account. It's kind of official, right?
It's all about laying a strong foundation. Think of it like building a house. You got to start with the right materials, a solid base.
Okay, so the capital account,
Exactly. It emphasizes slow, steady growth, and most importantly, minimizing risk.
because in trading, you don't want to gamble away your whole stake right off the bat.
Exactly. And that's where the 6% rule comes in. The document emphasizes never risking more than 6% of this account on any single trade.
Smart. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. But this system, it takes things a step further, right? It specifically says you should only have one active trade happening at a time. Why is that so important?
Because when you've got like 5 different trades on at once, it's easy to get overwhelmed, your attention's divided, you're not as focused on each individual trade.
It's like juggling chainsaws, right? One's hard enough. 5 is just asking for trouble.
Exactly. Sticking to one symbol helps you avoid distractions, and you get to really understand how that asset moves. You know, its patterns, its quirks.
Like becoming best friends with your stock, you know its moods. You can practically predict its next move.
Right. And speaking of predicting moves, another key rule is about options, specifically those with less than 5 days until they expire.
Yeah, those were called ticking time bombs, which honestly made me a little nervous. Why are those short-dated options considered so risky?
It's this concept called time decay. Basically, as an option gets closer to its expiration date, its value starts to erode away.
It's like that fruit in the back of your fridge, right? Every day that passes, it's getting a little bit closer to going bad.
And with those short-dated options, you're playing against the clock.
So avoid the 5-day fruit basket.
Pretty much.
Got it. Now, before we move on from this capital account, there's this other rule, the 50% profit-taking rule. Is that always the right move, even if you feel like you could squeeze out more profit?
It's tough, right? Because our brains are wired to chase those big wins. But this rule is about taking emotion out of the equation.
You're locking in a win no matter what happens next.
Right. It's like hitting save on a really important document. You've secured your progress.
Love that analogy. Okay, so we've covered the capital account, the foundation of the one symbol system. But how do we actually start building that trading house, so to speak? Let's talk about turning those smart moves into actual profits. Okay, so we've been playing by the rules, staying disciplined, and boom, our trade is in the green. We made some money. What happens to those profits? How does this whole thing work?
So this is where the one symbol system gets really interesting, because it's not just about making money. It's about what you do with those profits, how you manage them.
It's like that saying, right? Money makes money, but only if you use it wisely.
Exactly. And this system lays out a really specific profit split, kind of like a recipe for success.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me. What's this winning recipe?
Well, say, for example, you make a $100 profit from a trade. The system says, first of all, you get to immediately pocket 20% of that as a reward.
Ooh, I like the sound of that already. So in this case, $20 straight into my pocket.
Exactly. Treat yourself. Now, here's the interesting part. Of the remaining $80, 40% of that goes right back into your capital account.
Ah, so even when we're talking profits, we're still nurturing that solid base.
Precisely. Remember that slow and steady growth is how you build a solid financial foundation.
Gotcha. Okay, so we rewarded ourselves, we reinvested some back into the capital account. We've got $40 left from our initial $100 profit. Where does that go?
That final $40 goes into what the system calls your profit account.
Profit account. Okay, now we're talking. This sounds a little more exciting. What's so special about this account?
Think of it this way. Your capital account is like that reliable car that gets you to work every day, no problem. But the profit account, that's your sports car. It's where you can potentially accelerate your growth, take on a little more risk, and aim for those bigger wins.
So we're using our profits to potentially make even more profits. I'm liking the sound of this. But it does sound a bit riskier, right?
It can be, which is why this profit account comes with a safety net. You only get to use this account when your capital account is shall we say, thriving.
So, like, if my capital account is below where I started, it's back to basics, focus on the capital account. No playing with the fast car just yet?
Exactly. It's about being strategic and disciplined. The profit account is there to help you capitalize on momentum, but you always have that solid foundation of the capital account to fall back on.
Okay, so we're being smart about it. I like it. Now, tell me more about this profit account. What are the specific rules we need to follow when we're playing in this arena?
So about those rules, it's not like you get to go wild with the profit account.
Right, gotta stay disciplined.
Exactly. It's still about making smart strategic trades. So you need a decent amount of capital in the profit account before you can really get started.
Okay, how much are we talking here?
The document suggests waiting until your profit account is at least 10% of your capital account.
Okay, so that's our starting line. Got it. Now, what about those options with less than 5 days till they expire? Are those allowed in the profit account?
Nope, those are off limits no matter what. Time decay is still a factor.
Makes sense. Gotta respect time decay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can we do in this profit account? What's the strategy?
Well, the system mentions something called a two-lot entry.
Two-lot entry. Okay, that sounds a little technical.
Basically, it means you make 2 trades back to back. Let's say you've got $100 in your profit account, right? You place your first trade using some of that money. Let's say that trade goes well. You double your money to $200.
Sweet. Okay, right then.
Before you do anything else, you take 20% of those profits and send them straight back to your capital account.
So even when we're winning, we're still looking after that capital account.
Always.
Yeah.
It's all about that solid foundation. Now, you've got $160 left from that winning trade.
Right.
You're going to take that $160 and you go all in on your second trade. Try to ride that momentum.
Ooh, high stakes. Okay, so win or lose on that second trade, what happens next?
You reset, you take whatever's left in your profit account, and you move it all back into the capital account. Then you start the whole cycle again.
So it's like these bursts of activity, but always returning to that safe, steady ground of the capital account.
Exactly. It's a really interesting approach to managing risk and reward.
I have to say, going through this OneSymbol system, I'm seeing why focusing on just one thing is so powerful.
It's all about going deep, understanding the ins and outs of a single asset. It's not about chasing every opportunity that comes along.
It's about quality over quantity, right?
Precisely. And remember, this system, it's more like a set of guidelines, not strict rules. You can adapt it to fit your own trading style, your own risk tolerance.
That's really the key takeaway here, isn't it? Understanding the why, the reasoning behind the strategy, so you can make it your own. Well, there you have it, folks, the OneSymbol Trading System, a deep dive into the art of focusing on what matters, managing risk, and of course, growing those profits. Until next time, remember, trade smart, stay curious, and happy trading.